Tell me about the new book.
So the new book came out last Tuesday. We launched it at Unveiled in Boston, which is a big sales and marketing conference, one that I've been speaking at for 8 years. And it was written for business owners and entrepreneurs and founders who have to sell, as well as salespeople and companies. But especially for the business owner and the entrepreneur, because a lot of times we didn't get into business for ourselves thinking we were going to be a salesperson. And as a result, we find ourselves in that role and we try every tip, every trick, every alphabet soup of sales methodologies that are out there that would promise us results. And we get frustrated when it doesn't work for us the way that it works for other people. And the reason we get frustrated is because we don't realize that it's our mindsets and beliefs towards sales that is actually getting in the way of us being able to collaborate with our buyers, to actively listen to them, which is what they demand of us. So my hope is that people will read the book and they'll see it as their own personal sales coach to help them identify what are the hidden roadblocks in their mindsets that are getting in their way. How do you change them? And then what are the behaviors that you need to learn, the skill sets that buyers are demanding of salespeople today? So it combines the psychological science of how we change as human beings, also with the decision science of how buyers make decisions today. And I kind of marry the two worlds together.
Oh my gosh, I'm just laughing at myself in the sense that, you probably wrote that for me, and I appreciate that.
I actually wrote it for me when 20 years ago when I started the first version of my business as a marketing agency. And I got into marketing because I hated sales. I wanted to make them obsolete, and fast learned that we still need salespeople to help us to make decisions today.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. So when I first started this new business, which I started, 4 years ago or something, I hired a sales coach. And she was listening to my sales calls and she's like, Mark, you're horrible. Oh, Mark, you can't sell, right? And God, she's absolutely right. I'm horrible. I can't sell. And I'm going to tell you what my sales methodology is. I'm going to coach you for 50 minutes and then I'm going to spend 10 minutes and tell you if you want more of that, here's how you get it. And so I'm a horrible salesperson. But by the way, I close a lot of deals that way just because I like helping people, right? It's easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, essentially the research that I found in the book as I was going about to how do people want to engage today. And I came across a study from Harvard called the IKEA effect. Yes, Harvard, darling. And what I learned was that we actually place more value on things that we've had a say in creating. And if you look at other studies and research about buyers today, they want people who will actually collaborate with them, help them look at their problems and solutions in a different way that they hadn't thought of before. So yes, helping and servicing and coaching and all of those things, but that's not really what we talk about in sales. We talk about how to influence and motivate and persuade. And it's not, selling isn't something we do to other people. It's something we do with them. And I think that's a fundamental shift that we need to start making in sales.
God, I love the attitude. I love everything you said. Okay. Now here's the reason that I invited you back.
Okay.
Last time you were on, rarely do I think about the podcast in such depth afterwards and say, oh my gosh, I can't do that, or I don't know that, right? It's like, and when you and I finished the last podcast, you were talking about the fact that when we don't emphasize the problem enough. So when I'm selling and someone says, hey, I've got this problem, I'm there to solve it, right? This is what I get paid for. This is what I live for. Watch me go solve your problem for you. And I don't emphasize the problem. So I wanted you to coach me while everybody else in the world could listen to how it is that one goes from someone says, here's my problem, or here's what I want, and not jumping into what the solution is. Okay. And just to make this really real, about an hour ago, I had a sales call.
Okay. This is my jam.
Oh my God. And I hadn't even thought about this until I was getting ready for you and I to talk again. And so they get on and we do introductions and, here's who you are and here's who I am. And then they said, yeah, and we're looking at changing the way we price for this type of product. And I jumped into, oh, well, here's how you think about that.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure Carol Mahoney thinks I totally blew that. So please help me.
Well, before I tell you that you totally blew it, what happened at the end of the call?
It ended well. I'm a very unique person in that I don't do consulting. And so when I get to the end of the call and I say, here's how you can continue working with me, I always say, if you want to hire a consultant, these are people who are going to come in and do the work and do your analytics and give you suggestions and recommendations. And I can give you names of those people. I don't do that. What I do is I will hold your hand and help you think through and work through these things yourself. And so I'm so unique that I think they're deciding, do I want to do it or do I want to have someone else do it? And so I think that's really the deciding factor for me.
Okay. So in this particular call, is there a next step, or did they say, yes, let us go think about it? Or what happened at the end of it? Did they say yes? Did they say no? Or did they say, maybe let me think about it? Or
They
we need
said
to talk
maybe.
again?
They said, maybe let me think about it. We'll probably talk again. And can I tell you, I hate talking to sales coaches because you guys always ask those questions. What's the next step? You're like, I don't know. They're either going to call me or they're not. That's the next step.
Okay. And so what I typically would do in this kind of a situation is we would role play it. So what happens when I go and I coach someone, there's different styles of coaching. I like to take a proactive approach. So before you even get into that conversation, we're going to have a conversation about the conversation and actually practice it, debrief it, strategize it, take it from every angle that we can. And then whatever new approach that you're going to need to do, I want you to have a number of reps in it before you go and do it in front of your buyer, because we shouldn't be practicing on the people that we're trying to help.